Is this thing on? Hello? It could be on. Let's see. Oh, I think it is. I think I'm on. Woohoo. Wow. Scary. Okay. What do we do next? Panic. Ah! Oh, okay. So, welcome to my first live stream. I've never done this before, so anything that can go wrong will go wrong. I don't even know if there's any sound. There could be. So I need you guys to tell me if you can hear me and see me and whatever else, because yeah, apparently my CPU load is at 60%, so that's survivable. So wow, I've already got questions. Okay, great, the sound's working. Woohoo. We've got a question. Okay, so where am I coming across my Tesla motors? Well, they're being donated to me. That's the short version. Basically, the first one came around in a particularly strange way, that I was doing a job for a guy, and it was actually, if you have a look in my videos there, you'll see the TM4 system. And so he then, just as a sort of a as a sort of a general comment, said, well, do you have any interest in Tesla motor? And so I'm kind of, gee, let me think about that for a nanosecond. Yes. And Tesla motor turned up, and that has gotten me into this Tesla thing. Then, of course, when one Tesla part turns up, well, it's like buses here, more of them turn up. So that's what got started there. And hello, everyone. Wow, there's people watching me. I don't believe this. Why would anyone want to watch me? Okay. So how he came across it, to the best of my knowledge, is he purchased a bunch of parts out of a fire-damaged Model S. And so that's why, if you look at the charger that I have here beside me, which you can't see, you will see that there's some fire damage on it. Well, there's some soot damage. I shouldn't say fire damage. It's just soot debris. I'll do this every week. I'm a little bit nervous, obviously. I know it's a strange thing to say for someone with 350 something videos on, but they're videos that I can control. I can chop out the bits that I don't like. But this, you guys get to see it uncut, raw, as it were. It was the UK. That's where all of these bits have been coming from. There's more bits coming. Not only Tesla. We've got some BMW bits on the way. And what else have we got? We've got the Tesla stuff. We've got BMW stuff. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of other smaller bits in the shed that I haven't even looked at. There is, I think, a Chevy Volt charger. What else is there? There's some kind of contactor control box. Oh, there's a Tesla high voltage junction box. Oh, and there's a Tesla charging port coming. No, I'm not getting the stuff for free. Basically, at the minute, I'm getting it so that I can work on it. and we kind of see then how the thing turns out after that. And so what else there? Someone asked me there earlier if, hang on, where am I gone here? This is all as well as people talking to me. Strange. So someone asked me there if I think I can improve the performance, well, of the Tesla drive units. I think so. It might be accidental, but I think I can, because just very recently over this weekend now, we have just gotten to the point of being able to read the Tesla temperature sensors in the large drive unit, and with that ability, well, we can tell the software that's doing the control whether we want to pay attention to those temperature sensors and at what point that we would want to pay attention to them. And if we don't, well, then we can roast it. We can just run the power up until something pops. And I'm sure Tesla have done that themselves, but they're obviously not going to tell us where that break point is. I mean, it's an extremely well built inverter. It should have, all the things that you want in an inverter design. So good quality caps, minimum inductance in the bus bars, all of those nice things. And theoretically then it should be able to take quite a bit of a beating. But part of replacing the logic board with one of our own design is that we can do these things, so we're not limited to what Tesla want us to do. So there's that. And obviously anyone that's been following along will know that we have done the large drive unit with this logic board, and we are working on the small drive unit, which is this is the original Tesla board from it, and we've got our own one. This is a cardboard Blue Peter style version that we will be getting made fairly soon to do that. To run it. God, I'm making a real mess out of this, haven't I? So what happened with the Panzer? Well, I haven't had any videos on the Panzer recently because I am focusing on getting the Tesla large drive unit working, and that drive unit is going to be installed in the Panzer in about 3 to 4 weeks time. So this is going to be the fourth time that I've converted that car, so hopefully this will be the last time. So that will work as a good test bed for me, but also the kind of semi-long-term goal for the Panzer is to basically get a Tesla battery in there, or at least part of one, and drive it from Ireland to Munich, Germany, and roll up to the gates of BMW Welt and say, "Was ist der Crack, lads?" So that should be an interesting road trip if I survive it. That is, if I don't kill myself with the with 400 or 500 horsepower in a car that was designed for 230 odd. So yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen. So what else do we want to talk about? Anyone else want to give me a topic? Life, death, taxation. Otherwise this is going to be probably one of my most boring videos. So yeah, that's the Tesla stuff. We have a hang on a sec. Yeah. So we should have the entire drivetrain out of a BMW i3 Rex on the way as well. So for you guys that need to hear the sounds of an internal combustion engine running, hopefully we will have the sound of a two-cylinder BMW motorbike engine running a generator fairly soon. Um, so is the Tesla charger still a project? Very much so. It's sitting on the desk beside my computer here, and I'm basically, the next PCB project that I'm going to be doing is going to be making a little breakout board for the wiring harness so that I can log the CAN data of the internal CAN network within the Tesla charger, and we can then, in theory, bypass all of the crazy checking and integration that occurs if you try to run the Tesla charger from the external vehicle network. So that is very much going to be coming on stream. Get it? Stream, live stream, yeah. Pretty soon again. So what do I think about making battery packs out of 18650s? I think it would probably need a much more patience than I have. I must admit, when I first saw people doing that, I didn't think much of it. But I've been following a group called DIY Powerwalls recently, and the amount of cells that these people are putting together is crazy, and I've got a lot of respect for that. It's probably not something that I would do myself, at least not short to medium term. I might do it longer term, but yeah, definitely not something I'll be doing short term. So how the Tesla motor has so much more power than other motors? Well, I guess because it's made that way. I know that's probably not the perfect answer, but I'm not a expert on electric motors, but basically Tesla have made a really neat, tidy, powerful package for their cars that is, I think, the most power dense electric drive unit that you can find outside of R&D labs and so forth. And the Siemens motor that I used in the Panzer, the 1PV 5135, has a rating of 80 kilowatts. I have pushed that. I've pushed just over 130 kilowatts electric into it. Now, what was coming out of the motor shaft, I have no idea, but it was giving me a push in the back. That's about the most that I can say on that. Now, if we put 130 in, if we got, I don't know, maybe we got 110 out, that's about 130, 140 horsepower. Lose a bit in the drive unit, or in the drivetrain, sorry. Maybe we got 120 coming out the back end. The Tesla drive unit is going to at least triple that, probably more. So that is going to be scary. I'm going to have to rein the thing in, otherwise I'm going to be doing, one wheel spins as I disappear into the sunset on a cloud of tire smoke. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. So what happened to the Toyota Lexus hybrid gearbox? Well, I still have it. It just basically got superseded by a lot of other things that were going on in my life. There is a guy on the DIY electric car forum that has gotten very good results out of that Lexus gearbox. I think he put it in an E46 and has gotten kind of lots of power out of it. Now I didn't get to that stage. I was messing about with it on the bench. Johannes Hubner and myself were trying to get a software version for the open source inverter that would run a permanent magnet motor, because a lot of these OEM EV motors are permanent magnet of some form. So your common ones like your Nissan Leaf, BMW, so most of the OEM electric vehicle motors will be permanent magnet of some sort. So we were kind of keen back then to see if we could get the thing to run, and I did get it to run, and we were able to successfully interface a resolver to the inverter with a adapter board. So that's kind of what happened with the Lexus gearbox. I still have it. It is a back burner project at the minute, but with some more of these donated parts coming in, we will hopefully be getting back to running permanent magnet motors. I'm trying to say that 3 times fast. Oh yeah, the E46 drift car. So that project had gotten to a certain point, is on hold at the minute. And the reason that it's on hold is that once I got the car moving, and I did a few videos of just pottering the car around my area here slowly, I started hearing some nasty banging sounds coming out of the gearbox, and the drive unit that I used in that what's the name of it? It's an Enova system, and I heard afterwards then that some other people that had obtained some of those Enova units ended up having to replace bearings in them. So I haven't gotten around to doing that. So that car is actually going to go into storage for the winter, and it'll be probably next year before we get back to looking at that, because not only am I going to be tied up with putting the Tesla parts into the 8 series Panzer, but it's going to take a bit of work to get that car back on the road, basically. Someone, Peter Luckham here, has pointed out quite rightly that the horsepower from the Tesla motor is not just down to the motor power density, but it's down to the power supply capability, etc. The battery and ampacity. Very good. You can definitely say it better than me, Peter, so you should be doing this stream instead of me. Nick Davidson asks, could you use the Tesla drive unit in a front wheel drive application? Certainly. You know, so Nick, there, you're making the point that the differential has a splash gear drive. A splash gear drive, what am I talking about? Has a splash lubrication system. So yeah, if you could use an external pump like an electric pump or something like that, you could definitely run the motor backwards unless the gears are cut in a particular way, but I doubt they are. I know EVTV has taken the drive unit apart, so they know a lot more about it than me. I'm scared. I don't want to take the bolts out and just go, you know, and then oops, where did all those roller bearings go? Oh, yeah. So yes, I think you could. If you look at one of my recent videos, I was so excited about getting the whole thing back together, and I put it all back together and I started running it, and I ran the motor up to 10,000 RPM in reverse. Didn't realize that, of course, until I was editing the video, and then I had the oh smeg moment. So yeah, there's that. So Zax asked me, do I have any Nissan Leaf stuff on the horizon? And love your channel. Thank you. That's very kind. Do I have Nissan Leaf stuff on the horizon? Answer to that is probably not immediately, but yes, there is potentially some Nissan Leaf projects coming on stream. Not sure when that would be, but at the rate that I'm getting these components falling in on me, it could be a lot sooner than I anticipate. Certainly I wasn't anticipating having a Tesla drive unit for about 10 years now. I've 2 of them, so yeah. Okay. So Peter Luckham asked me, do you know anything about the old 2002 RAV4 EV inverter? I'm afraid I don't, Peter. I'm guessing that's the RAV4 from the EV1 era. That at least Toyota did sell them to people. Not something I know anything about. Certainly if anyone can assist Peter here, please do. I'm trying to read the stuff and talk to you guys at the same time. I can't do the whole, you know, pat the head and rub the stomach. It doesn't work for me. Okay, I'm trying to pat the head again. Actually, that's interesting. Is the front drive unit backwards too? So you know, does, okay, so the rear drive unit, the differential is in front of the motor, so the differential points to the front of the car, right? But in the front drive unit, is the differential not pointing at the rear of the car? I don't know. So yeah, I'm gonna have to find that out. Oh, okay, so the front drive unit is the same. Okay, thanks, Nick. That's weird. Why would they do that? Because I would have thought that they'd want the space for the battery in there, but hey, you know, Elon, he kind of knows more about cars than me anyway. Okay, so got a question here about, okay, so hi Damien, what are the legalities of putting a converted car on the road here in Ireland? That's a very good question. I get asked that a lot, so I'm going to do my best to answer it now, even though it won't have won't have much relevance to people outside of the jurisdiction. The first EV that I built was the black E36 Compact. If anyone's been crazy enough to been following my videos for the last 8 years, you will see that car there was the first car. Now, when I set about that, I kind of set about it knowing that I would technically make the car work, but I didn't really get into the legalities of it because I figured it might scare me away. And I think this happens to a lot of people. You know, they kind of get this, wow, you know, I'm going to build an electric car. And then, so they come along and they're kind of full of beans and full of desire to do it. And then they get bogged down by the red tape. Oh, it's going to need an inspection. It's going to need this. It's going to need that. How am I going to get it insured? How am I going to do all these things? And it just becomes, no, make it stop. I'll just buy a diesel. Ugh. And then, you know, that's one of the things that I think people fall into that trap. Now, it's not to say that you shouldn't be aware of it, but anyway, I'm babbling. Back on message, Damien. Let's take insurance first. It's probably going to be the hardest one. You know, anyone that's familiar with motor insurance in this country knows that at the best of times, it's a real mess. So my advice and how I went about getting insurance, and I've 2 road-going EVs insured at the minute. I have the Land Yacht and the Panzer. So, if you just jump on a website for, you know, whatever insurance company, and you put in the details and you put any modification on the car, I don't mean that you've converted it to electricity. I mean, if you've put a bumper sticker on the car that says "I love Trump," they will not insure it, okay? Any modification at all, and it's not the insurance company. This is just a website looking for a tick box and then says, So what you need to do is you need to get past the first layer of the insurance companies. Yes, that's right. Sorry, I have 3 road-going EVs. How could I forget that? Okay, thank you. You need to get past the first line of defense. So get past the website and get past the phone, because phoning up and saying, "Hi, I've just ripped the guts out of a 2001 E39 5 Series, and I'm putting a 13-inch DC forklift motor out of a forklift that I got from London docks, and then I'm going to fill it with 38 kilowatt hours of lithium batteries that were originally designed for a Chinese ballistic missile program. And I'm going to, oh yeah, and then I'm an electronics engineer, and I'm going to go ahead and design my own power electronics for this thing, and I'm going to wire it all up, and I'm going to just, you know, shoot that thing down the motorway at 75 miles per hour. You know, what kind of a response do you think you're going to get from the insurance company? "Oh, of course, sir, that is a low-risk application. Tick." No, they're probably going to call the police, or maybe more than the police, maybe the feds. I don't know. Maybe Homeland Security. Anyway, anyway, I suppose, yeah, to get back to the key point, what you need to do is you need to go old school. Yeah. Okay, I wouldn't insure me either. Anyway, so what you got to do is you got to go old school and you got to write them a letter with one of these things. This is called a pen. You press the top of it, okay, and then this little thing called a nib comes out, and then you need some kind of media. This is called paper, and you can kind of use the pen to make shapes. You see, I just made some shapes here, and you write them a letter, and you explain what you're doing, and you basically see what the hell happens. I wrote a lot of letters. I got one quote the first time, and it was eye-watering. This was serious. The second year that I went to renew the quote, the first time I got one quote, and I insured the car with that company. This is the tender head again. And the second year, I only got a quote from that company again, but it was much lower. The third year, it went crazy. I got like 5 quotes, and I couldn't figure out why. And the reason for that is that was 2011, which is when the Nissan Leaf hit Ireland for the first time. And then the insurance companies woke up to say, oh, there is some kind of vehicle that doesn't use petrol or diesel, so I suppose we'll have to insure them, so we will. So anyway, my insurance quotes have been coming down since. I have actually stayed. No, I didn't. I'm lying. I moved companies. Did I move? No, I didn't. No, I've stayed with. Yes, I did. God. I stayed with the first company for 3 years, and I have been with the new company now since 2012. Is it 2012? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 2012, and the quote has been coming down ever since then. So yes, it is possible to get a modified vehicle insured in Ireland. It is possible to get a converted electric vehicle insured in Ireland. But don't expect, to be able to do it with the usual, just tappity tap on the computer and you get a quote and you click it and you put the card in and it prints off and you go, woohoo! So it doesn't work that way. You need to do a bit of legwork and use one of these things. Taxation. No taxation without representation. So that was actually easy and then got more difficult. The first time I just had to fill out a form. I had to, say I was changing from a petrol vehicle to an electric vehicle, and just give the serial number of the motor, that kind of thing, and get a garage stamp on it, and I was all done. And I did that with the E36. I did that with the E39, no problem at all. And then the E31, the Panzer, came along, and I did it, and that was great. And I thought, wow, 4th time lucky. About a month after I had done the change on the registration document, I got a letter from the local the local motor taxation office to say that they were freezing the registration for the 8 series because they were performing a fraud investigation, that I was taking vehicles that had very high taxation on them. Like, for example, the Panzer with the 4.4 litre V8 in it would have had a tax of something like €2,000 a year. And with the electric conversion, I was bringing that down to 120. So I kind of got back to them. I gave them a link to the YouTube channel, and I said, well, if I'm performing fraud, well, then, you know, whatever it was at the time, 250 videos and, you know, 6 to 7 years of doing this, you know, would be a hell of a personal expense to save, you know, €1,880 a year. There would be, I mean, I don't know, I could flip burgers and probably get better paid than that. So what ultimately, it is mental, yes, correct. So I ended up, there was a delegation of people in very expensive suits turned up here on my driveway, and I opened the bonnet of the Panzer, and they just, you know, they just kind of, oh, that's not an engine. No, that's what I've been trying to tell you. Okay, can you start it? Sure. Click. It's not making any sound. Yes, because it's not an engine. Okay. Tick. There's your tax form, sir. Thank you for your cooperation. And ever since, you know, no problem at all. So that was taxation. I've left the best bit for last. The NCT, the National Car Test, which is an annual inspection of vehicles more than 4 years old in Ireland. For a vehicle, well, all of my vehicles are more than 10 years old, so they have to be inspected once a year. If your car is less than 10 years old, it gets inspected once every 2 years. So all my cars are more than 10 years old, and you know, my car buying tendencies, you know, tend to be, you know the way these days you get all these kind of guidelines about how to buy cars safely. All right, so I take one of those safe car buying guides and I flip it. So I make sure that I do everything that you're not supposed to do. I buy the cars with no tax, no insurance, no service history, visible mechanical problems, you know, from dodgy people in a public car park paying cash, you know, everything you're not supposed to do. Basically, if we had Craigslist here, I would be, you know, that bottom feeder on the whole Craigslist thing. You know, so for example, I bought the Land Yacht, you know, with an engine that basically sounded like a bag of cats. And the guy that sold it to me was really furtive and kind of nervous, you know, that I might figure out that the engine was, well, on its last legs, and I had to drive it 134 miles. But anyway, that's for another live stream. So the NCT, back to that, is fairly painless for me these days. The first time out with the black E36, because I couldn't. It was a bit of a crazy thing. I couldn't. It makes it more fun to buy cars that way. It certainly is. I have to agree with that. And I was only about 3 days married this year when I brought my wife on the first of those kind of questionable car deal voyages. Anyway, I'm I'm rambling again. So NCT, first time with the black E36. I had to trailer it to the testing center. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments here. And yeah, so I trailered it to the testing center, and it's kind of one of these kind of glass wall kind of a situation where you are supposed to go in, hand the guys the keys to the car, and yeah, you just kind of give the car to them, and they run the car. Thank you for loving my channel. I'm kind of I'm digressing again, but thanks, guys. It can be difficult sometimes, finding the motivation, but I'm glad that people take something away from all the crazy videos. So you're supposed to kind of hand them the keys, hand them the documentation about the car. They go, bring the car in, run it through the various tests, and give you the car back with a pass or a fail cert. Well, that didn't work for them because they couldn't start the car. So I ended up in the actual testing area. The whole place ground to a halt. Every inspector in the building just forgot about what they were doing and just crowded around the E36. And I was about 40 minutes talking. I mean, I got some water here, so I'm not doing too bad now. I've been 40 minutes talking here too. But the whole thing just I was explaining every part of the car to them. And the bad news is, excuse me, I failed on the first test. And I failed because of the emissions test. There was no emissions from the exhaust because there was no exhaust, and therefore the computer said no. So I did have to get back on to NCT, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit, but they were very good, and they gave me a free retest, and I brought the car back. And again, I got hoarse, I'm talking, the whole place grinds to a halt. But this time, it was a more busy period. And a backlog of cars, started to build up outside the testing centre. And, people started getting, what the hell's going on? They started, leaning on the horn and, getting out and seeing what was going on. So then, not only were the inspectors, did I have to explain the car to the inspectors, but once the public figured out that there was a converted electric BMW in the middle of the testing centre, they had to get in, and then I had to talk to them, and I'm kind of, yeah, it's a motor, and there's batteries, and there's transistors, and yeah. So, that was the first time out. I'm starting to cough now, even thinking about the hoarseness that I experienced. So that was the first time out, and we got the test after the second shot. And every year since then, and since I've had more cars, I've been bringing more cars back to them, and there's been no problems. I mean, yeah, the cars fail on normal stuff. I had a wheel bearing on the land yacht. That was a pig because it was stuck in there like it was part of the hub. What else was there? I mean, yeah, just normal car stuff like worn suspension components, brake lines, tires, all the kind of basic things that that pretty much any car needs. And it's the same process. You bring the car there, you fail on something, take it back, fix it, bring it back, pass. So I suppose those are the three ingredients to making a converted vehicle road legal in Ireland. And it's certainly possible to get through that. I do know of one other privately converted car in Ireland. There probably are more. I'm sure not everybody is some kind of a crazy media junkie like me that needs to show you guys every time I turn a screw. But yeah, so that's it. That is the big question. So at least now I have answered that. And when people email me, people email me 2 to 3 times a week about that. I can point them towards this crazy live stream, and if they can sustain their way through it, they will find out what they need to know. Okay, thanks. Immigration to Canada sounds like a good plan. I have not seen an inspection station in 20 years. Only recently had to engage with one because I imported it from the US. Peter, yeah, that would be better because I've got to bring the E39 there in November because that needs an inspection. And the 8 Series Panzer won't need one until April for that one. And yeah, at least the drift car doesn't need the drift car doesn't need any of that crap, and that was one reason that I started the project. But I'm beginning to think that I might end up changing that a bit, because that Innova motor probably really doesn't have enough power to do it, even though I could push more through it. I mean, yeah, I might end up putting a different drive unit in there or something like that. Now there's another question here that I saw coming in but I didn't answer because I was too busy ranting about NCTs. Randy Eller asked me, loved the channel, thank you. Was thinking about doing a very low budget EV with a mid-90s Jeep and some DC forklift motors. Will they have enough kick, or am I off my nut? Well, speaking as someone who is totally off his nut on a daily basis, that's not a bad thing when you're doing this kind of stuff. It actually helps. I've had very good experiences with DC motors. Obviously, I started off that way. The motor in the E36 and in the E39, they're both forklift motors that I rebuilt and did the whole brush advancing thing on them. And the motor in the E39, the big 13-inch, has been running in that car as my daily driver since March 2014. So what's that? 3.5 years, and I've put just coming up on 75,000 miles on that motor now, with the brushes that were in it when I got it. And a lot of people, I've seen a lot of these comments about, oh, I hate DC motors because I have to change the brushes every 2,000 miles. Well, I didn't. So, there's 75,000 miles on that motor now. It's never missed a beat. It's not hugely powerful. The car will get up to motorway speeds, no problem. But because of the gearing in that car, when it's doing 75 miles per hour on the motorway, the motor is turning at about 2,800 revs, and even with a differential from a 530D in there to kind of gear it down a bit more, it's revving too high, so you don't get a lot of power when you have a DC motor up high revs. Also the same for AC, but there's some tricks that you can play on it, like field weakening and things like that. So Zach suggested a Tesla drift build. Yes, very much so. That would be interesting. I had been toying with the idea of welding the differential in the large drive unit and putting it in the E46, which would have, that would have been just another way to go. But somehow I don't think I've gotten the last Tesla drive unit that I'm ever going to see. So it's it's entirely possible that we'll get to a Tesla powered drift car build. One of the things that I recently saw on the Haggard Garage channel was the guys are stripping down a car to build a drift kart, and I kind of thought, oh yeah, okay, I could probably try that. So may end up with I might end up cutting the roof off the E46 and just building a kind of a drift kart, electric drift kart type of a situation there. So Nick Davidson asked me, have I got heaters in my EV conversions for cold days? Hell yes. One thing you tend not to need in Ireland is air conditioning, because we get about, to be fair, let's not be too cynical, we do get 2 weeks of sunshine a year here. So but you can wind down the window or put a wet bandana on and stick your head out, and that cools you down. But you need heat, yes. So I was lucky with both the Land Yacht and the Panzer that I managed to find sorry, more comments. I managed to find second-hand RM4 fluid heaters that do tend to crop up on the second-hand market now and again. And what they are is they're something like about the size of a thermos flask. I do have videos on them, but I wouldn't ask you guys to go look them up, they'll drive you mad. They're about the size of a thermos flask, and there's a pretty power dense heater in there, and they run from the DC traction voltage. And they heat up to I think 70 degrees, and you just put a pump in there and a little fluid reservoir, and you can just set up some switches and so forth, and you can just pump the hot antifreeze coolant then from the little heater around the heater matrix in the car, and all the normal heater controls, vents, all that kind of work. So I've done that in both the E39 Land Yacht and the E31 Panzer. So that works quite well. In both of them, actually, I was able to integrate the control of the RM4 heater with the OEM with the OEM heater control. So when you set the climate control to a certain temperature, the computer, the body control computer, thinks it's controlling a valve letting coolant in from the engine, but it's in fact turning the RM4 heater on and off. So that's that question. Tom Debris asked me, have I found some batteries to do the Tesla motor testing with? Not really. I had a bit of a battery nightmare this year. I had a selection of, or not a selection, a bank of batteries that I was going to get from the UK, I engaged a courier to bring them from the UK to Ireland. I'd used this guy before, and I was doing a swap. So he picked up something here and brought it to the guy in the UK. There was no problem there. He picked the thing up, brought it across in about a week. He then picked up the batteries from the guy in the UK and basically must have booked himself on SpaceX's first trip to Mars, because I haven't seen him since then. So someone in the UK is probably building themselves a nice electric van with my batteries. So congratulations, we're here to sponsor you. Ding! Okay. So I do have some batteries from a hybrid bus. They're the ones that if you watched yesterday's video, you would have seen me, that wasn't very smart, connecting a 3 kilowatt electric cooker element in a bucket of water to a 380 volt DC battery and putting 5 kilowatts DC through the thing. So yeah, not one of my smartest moves, but it did, it certainly heated up the water and got things moving for us. Tom, Chevy Volt batteries would be 100% perfect. So we'll see what the situation is there with that. Marin Roglev says, hi Damien, do you still have your PCBs for the Innova inverter? I do, and you can certainly get them. In fact, I did manufacture a few of the boards, but for some various reasons now I've pulled back from that. I'm not going to be manufacturing those boards anymore, or probably any boards really, at least for a while. But what I will be doing, hopefully starting this week, is a new video series where I'm going to be showing some of the projects that we have used the open source inverter on. So the Innova will be the first of those, and I'll be showing you how to basically fit one of these boards into it and get the thing to work. Excuse me. Can I cut that part out? Cut, chop. Okay. So yeah, we're going to be showing you guys how to fit those cards into the Innova inverter. They are completely open source, by the way. Anything I'm doing, all this stuff is open source. All the files, the software, the belches, the whole lot are on my GitHub page, and you can go there, download them, listen to the belches again, and build your own crazy demo boards. So we will have that video, the first of those videos, hopefully this week. I'm going to be away for a few days then after that, so I really want to get that first video up to you guys this week coming. Did the plastic bucket melt? No. And you know that was the strange thing. The plastic bucket did not melt. I paid €3 for that bucket. I'm pretty sure the €3 plastic bucket company weren't thinking of my exact application when they specified it carefully. So I was very happy with that. We got the heat sinks up to 60 degrees, so I'm not sure what the temperature of the water in the bucket was, but there was definitely steam and kind of initial bubbling starting in there. So did you get the Tesla units from the UK? Yes, I did. There's not many salvage Teslas in the UK as in the US. Yeah, very true, very true. But my favorite one is the one where the Tesla launched itself across the motorway and perfectly plowed its way into a Mercedes-Benz dealership, kind of giving them a bit of a wake-up call, I like to think. So Tom is asking me again, the Tesla Charger, am I still looking for a guinea pig car? Yes, Tom, I certainly am. As I said earlier, I've got the Tesla Charger sitting here. I'm going to be making a little breakout PCB for that, and I'm hoping then that I'll be able to convince somebody to use that PCB to take the back seat out of their car, take the cover off the charger, fool the reed switch, plug my untested board into their $100,000 car, and log the canned messages on a laptop and then email them to me for free. Yeah, when you say it that way. Okay, the arc went, I think it like went about a foot, and it was particularly scary because I was kind of, is this thing on, and boom, 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 like that. So, yeah, it's completely safe. Yeah, it's amazing when you get up there on the DC voltage, even a low current like 10 to 15 amps, you'll pull a big arc. Yeah, I might show that to you guys at some point, but hopefully I won't have to use that crazy heating thing again. I went back to eBay today, and I have invested another few euros in a completely safe looking 2 kilowatt apparently heating element, because we will have to have another shot at this for the small drive unit. Yeah, good idea to use a contactor, Tom, but I was unfortunately in one of my let's get it done, get her done attitude. So it was just, tape it up, shove some cable in it, hit the battery, and vroom, 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 So, yes, no excuse really for not using a contactor. Yeah, you could get tanned from that, because there would be a UV, element to it. But it would use a lot of the energy. So yeah, that's wow. It's 1 hour according to this elapsed time thing. So I can't believe I've been talking for 1 hour. At least I hope I'm not making a complete mess out of this. DC, just Tom there said he got tingled by 250 volts. DC tends to be scary. It tends to glue you to the thing. So one thing I have been extremely conscious of since I got married is wedding ring, because put some current through that thing and it would be bye finger. The only good thing would be that it would kind of cauterize the stump because of the heat. Thanks, Tom. That's great, because the Tesla battery is definitely going to be BMS inized. It's another point. Yeah, I mean the battery in the E39, the Chinese ballistic missile batteries, I balanced them once. I've never balanced them again, and anytime I've checked them, they just say, yeah, we're the same, go away, nothing to see here, move along please, give us the charge, come on, go. So they don't seem to need it, but when you have a couple of thousand of those 18650s that basically you could, I mean, if you could make a kind of a shotgun with them, I don't know, maybe you could just load one in a tube and have some kind of a hammer puncture it, and you could definitely shoot somebody with that. So yeah. So, all right, guys. What else do we need to talk about? NCM. Yeah, I've never came across NCM cells. So, don't know. I suppose that'll be the next thing to land on me here. I kind of think I was kind of working in the shed there today, and I'm kind of thinking about the only thing that hasn't happened in the last few months is SpaceX haven't landed the first stage of one of their Falcon 9s in my back garden. But I better not say that too loudly because it could happen in theory. So probably singed the lawn though. So all right. Anything else that you guys need me to rant on or ramble on about, or generally make a fool of myself about, or will we wrap this up and I'll see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel? Well, a batty channel, obviously. So yeah, we will hopefully by then have ordered the logic board for the small drive units, and hopefully by then I will also have what would I also have? A brain. That'd be a help. I forgot what I was going to say. That's unbelievable. Okay. Hopefully by next week I will have ordered the boards for the small drive units. Hopefully by then I will have also, oh God, hopefully by then I will also have figured out if we can use this logic board, obviously a real one, not the paper one, in the high efficiency rear drive units. I'm not 100% sure if they're the same, because this one is, this is from the really, this is from the small, oh God, this is from the front drive unit. So I don't know if they use the same PCB in the small rear drive unit. God. So we'll hopefully know that for you guys by next weekend. But then again, this is probably something that you already know, and you're just gonna make me wait, aren't you? So that's okay. So other part of drive unit, analog current sensors. Elon, thanks for that. Yeah, he kind of fooled me the first time out, Elon. He kind of, made it look like a duck and quack like a duck, but it really wasn't a duck. It was in fact a sigma delta current sensor for the large drive unit. But then he pulled an old switcheroo on me and hit me with some genuine analog sensors for the small one. Any big projects which will use your board? Potentially yes. I don't want to say too much about it at the minute, which is obviously the forerunner to, something bad happening. I have been approached by some people about using the board for their projects, and hopefully we will get to see those come into being. And I will definitely keep you guys updated on that. But my main drive at the minute, this is going to be a pun. My main drive at the minute is to get the large drive unit into the Panzer, so that we can see if it can move the car. Because this thing, I could be there, oh yeah, wow, look at me, I designed a Tesla open source logic board, I'm great, yay. And then I get in the car, turn it on, and it just goes, or it could go, I can't stop, So either or being a possibility. So we need to find out how badly I've screwed this whole design up, and then we can hopefully give a bit of confidence to people on how not to drive their Tesla motors. Think of this as like in the movies with the bomb disposal guys, and they kind of mirror each other, and so one guy says, oh, I'm gonna cut circuit B16. Okay, cutting circuit B16, click, still here, cut circuit B16. That leads me on to something that I always had a problem with in films. If I was going to make, more than one bomb, I would be sneaky enough to, to not make them from the same PCB. I mean, duh, right? Anyway, right. Any news on the RX-8 conversion? No, I haven't heard back a thing about it. I delivered the adapter plate and so on back to him, and I haven't heard about that project yet. If and when I do, I will let you guys know. Jeff Cook says either way it'd be a great video, and yeah, it would be. Either the chunk, probably not so, but the whole I can't control the car would probably definitely get my the old subscriber graph is going dump bump. So yeah, but I probably wouldn't get to see the benefit of that subscriber increase, because I would be in a complete body cast, just kind of, I can't move, give me my dinner through a straw. That doesn't taste like lasagna. So anyway, I'm hitting the table as I was in it. Yes, Tom, good point. The control chip is proven. I should mention the fact that I have been running the open source inverter in the Panzer. I mean, that's been running with the Siemens 1PV 5135 now for a good few years, and I have romped it pretty hard. I've certainly pushed the Nissan Leaf cells, beyond what they would be specified for, let's say. And the inverter, yeah, it works. And I can dial it up and down, and the overcurrent protection also works, because I've had some dodgy settings in there. Sorry, more comments. So the core of the inverter works. I mean, I had some dodgy settings in there at one point that basically made the car, like, they kind of turned the car into that, in the like the mechanical bull that you kind of sit on, and it kind of tries to throw you off, and you got to try, kind of holding the hat and stuff, right? So the Panzer turned into the mechanical bull, but thankfully I had the current limit set fairly low, so once the ride got a bit too crazy, it shut down. So that part definitely works. And also with the Tesla board, this marks the first time that we're using the both channels of the encoder. So that is good, because it will give us much smoother control of the motivator. Because the single encoder channel suffers down at very low RPMs, particularly when you have a low pulse count encoder. And the Tesla motors, at least the two that I've seen, are very low pulse count. They're 36 pulses per revolution. So, oh God, I'm going to belch again. Sorry. Why isn't the water making me belch? It shouldn't. Anyway, maybe there's, God, some kind of gas in it. Better take more of it. Anyway, so yeah, the inverter does work, and in the Tesla setup we are using the two encoder channels, and hopefully it'll work good. Hopefully we get a smooth takeoff, because we do want to have all the things like the kind of creep mode and regen and all the nice kind of Tesla features that all of you guys have come to know and love. So Nick Davidson asks, have you managed to keep the BMW computer in the Panzer to run things like ABS, etc.? Yes, we did. Did something on that I didn't actually put in a video. The E31 was designed in 1989, it was launched in 1989. Was designed in the late 80s, and was one of the most technologically advanced cars that BMW had built at that particular time. And I think it has definitely stood the test of time too, because it is simply the best car that I've ever had. They're going to have to bury me in that car. I mean, even no, actually that'd be bad, because then the car would be buried. I'm going to have to think of something else. Anyway, so what we did was, obviously, yeah, because I sold the engine and the DME out of it almost on the day after I bought it. So we didn't have that DME to mess with like we did with the E39. So what I ended up doing was, I ended up going to the guy that had bought the engine from me and brought my CAN bus shield Arduino thing and a laptop, and basically captured about 10 or 20 seconds of the CAN messages that the DME sent out, and I played those back onto the CAN network, and lo and behold, the ABS tells me we're good. So there's a little Arduino in there that's just plays back a loop of CAN messages from the engine at idle, and that basically keeps the body computers happy. So when you turn the key and you start the car, I won't sprinkle my ashes in it, because then someone would have to vacuum them out, and then I'd be in a vacuum cleaner, and I wouldn't like being in a vacuum cleaner. So we'll come up with another idea for that. So anyway, so the Panzer's computers, as far as the Panzer's body control, instrument cluster, heating and ventilation, all that stuff is concerned, engine in, engine on, das ist gut. So that's all, working away happy. And that was one of the things that I definitely enjoyed about the conversions in the newer cars, was kind of working with all of these systems and kind of figuring out how I'm going to make them think that they're doing what they should be doing. There's kind of a bit of a, I don't know, some kind of a teenage hacker in me. I've watched War Games once too many times. So Tom's asking, how many electric conversions do I own? That's a good question. I sold the E36. Well, I actually gave it away, but it's gone to a good home. So currently I have the E39 land yacht, we have the E31 Panzer, with the E46 drift car, which I'm belching again, unbelievable. Sorry. And the E46 drift car, which I affectionately call Super Turkey. Super Turkey I bought for €200 from a guy with a very large dog. Yeah, that dog was scary. Like, it was kind of, I think it was some kind of a genetic experiment, because it was really scary. Like, this thing was just teeth and fur, just nothing else. It just wanted to eat. But anyway, that car used a couple of litres of petrol, because it was only 15 miles away, but it used about 25 liters of water to get the distance home. And it was, as a friend of mine said, it was kind of using the water like a reaction mass in the same way that a rocket works. It was basically, it was going out the back end. Anyway, so yeah, a carbon fiber steering wheel with the ashes embedded in it. Yes, it's because I'm hunched over. That's why I'm belching. Thank you, God. Perfect. Okay, let's see if we can get a bit. Oh, really? Let's see if I can get a bit more comfortable. But then you guys probably can't see me, so I don't know. I'm kind of have to. I don't know. Can you see me now? I don't know. So yeah, the carbon fiber steering wheel with my ashes in it could be a good idea, but I'm such a curmudgeonly driver that I'm probably, if someone bought the car and they were driving it in a way that I didn't approve of, I would probably take control and just head off. So okay, I'm starting to get a bit silly now, which is probably a sign that I'm tired and I need to get some food. Any EV club in Ireland? There are a few owners groups for OEM electric vehicles. I am a member of one of them. I don't really participate much in the events that they run and stuff like that. But it would be nice if there were more conversions, definitely. So we'll just kind of have to see how that goes. Hopefully there'll be more. I mean, I can't be the only crazy person in this country, can I? Hope not. Right. What else do we need to talk about? Anything else, guys? Or I'm going to go and get myself some of that nice crusty brown bread and cheese that I picked up today, because I'm getting peckish. Maybe that's why I'm belching, because I'm hunched over and the kind of wind comes out, and maybe it's because I need food. Listen, there is one thing I want to say. I want to say a big thank you to everyone, not only the people that's here watching this crazy live stream today, and thanks guys, thanks for watching this stuff, thanks for subscribing, thanks for commenting, thanks for participating in this, because I'm not exactly Brad Pitt, so nor do I have Hollywood-like production standards that most channels seem to have these days. I just kind of shoot it and throw it on there, and let people make what they will out of it. Tom was just asking there about Chademo. Did I do anything after the videos? No, I didn't. That is making a comeback, because what I am potentially going to be doing is the Panzer is going to be getting Tesla'd. Like, it's not going to just be the Tesla drive unit. The Panzer is hopefully going to get the Tesla charger, the Tesla DC junction box, and some other Tesla parts. But I also want to give the Panzer the Tesla charging port. Now, I'm not going to say it, but I'm sure some of you guys can, add 2 and 2 as to why I might want the Tesla charging port. And I am potentially going to try to use the Tesla Chademo adapter in the Panzer. and hopefully we'll be able to, demo DC fast charge, AC charge in through the same port, basically. So hopefully we'll be coming back. I'm not going to answer that question, but possibly. What else is there? So did I keep the high voltage interlock on the Tesla driver boards? So on the large drive unit, what I simply did was I recreated the resistance that was on the original board, so that if you were trying to integrate some other Tesla components that wanted the high voltage interlock, then you could use it. On the small board, I've put the plug on, but I haven't done anything with it. So may or may not do that on the next version. Oh, okay. So I've exceeded my time that people are going to watch me for. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I know I'm crazy, I'm boring, I blab on, and I've been talking for nearly 90 minutes. Jesus. Okay. Can't blame you guys then if you're getting tired of my ramblings, because I'm getting tired of them too. Good. I'm glad we've decent quality here. Guys, I'm going to wrap this one up if you don't mind. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we will see you in the next one. I might not be able to do next Sunday because I'll be away, but I might be able to sneak it in. And I'll try and do this on a regular basis. And yes, I will enjoy my meal. I'm starting to get the belching feeling again. So, all right, guys. Thanks very much for everything. And we will see you next time. Same Pratt time, same Pratt channel. Yeah, how do I turn this thing off and try not to belch at the same time? Oh, here we go.